I never thought I'd be the guy writing about something like this, but here I am. My name's Mark, and honestly, I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 10 years now. We've got a pretty good life, 2 kids, a decent house, steady jobs. Nothing too crazy. But lately, I'd noticed her acting a little different. She'd be more bitchy than usual, snapping at me for no reason, and sometimes she'd be gone for hours without telling me where. I just chalked it up to stress at work, or maybe she was overwhelmed with the kids. But then the signs started piling up. Her phone started acting weird. She'd hide it more, lock it, and sometimes she'd get defensive when I asked to see it. She'd brush me off, saying I was paranoid or imagining things. I didn't really suspect anything at first, but I couldn't shake that feeling something was off. One day I was doing what I normally do, checking our family's location tracking app just to see where she's been. I know, it's kind of creepy, but honestly I was just worried. She'd been gone for a long stretch and I was trying to give her space, but I couldn't help myself. That's when I saw it. Her location was not just at the grocery store or her sister's house like she'd told me. It was at a small town about 50 miles away, an area I'd never associated with her work or friends. But what really knocked me back was the pinpoint that was near the local football stadium. I know Lisa, been into her son's football team, but she's not the type to go to away games, especially not alone. I checked again and there was a pattern of her being there during game days, on the nights she claimed she was working late or at her sister's house. That was strange enough, but then I saw something even more shocking. The GPS had her at a restaurant near the stadium, and her phone was there at the same time as a guy's. Not just any guy, Tommy, our son's football coach. I couldn't believe my eyes. I had no warning, no suspicion that she'd be messing around with him. I'd always trusted her, thought she was loyal, but it was right there in front of me. She was with him in some kind of affair. During away games, no less. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My stomach sank. I couldn't breathe right. I was furious, but mostly just hurt. How could she do this to me, to us? And with the coach of all people, it felt like the ground had shifted beneath my feet. I sat there staring at the screen, trying to process it all. I didn't want to scream or break down in front of the kids or the neighborhood, but I felt this intense rage bubbling underneath. I knew I had to confront her, but I also knew I needed to get my head straight first. This wasn't just some petty argument. This was betrayal on a whole new level. The next step was clear: talk to Lisa, find out what the hell she was up to, and decide what to do from there. After I saw everything on the GPS, I felt like my world was spinning out of control. I stayed up all night, just staring at my phone, trying to make sense of what I'd found. I kept telling myself she could be cheating, but maybe it was some mistake, some glitch. But deep down, I knew the truth. Lisa's lies, her sneaking around, she wasn't the person I thought she was. The thing is, Lisa's always been a little bitchy when she's hiding something. She's quick to dismiss, quick to lie. I knew I'd have to confront her carefully, or she'd just deny everything and make it worse. So I waited until she came home from her work dinner. I decided I'd call her out then and there. When she finally walked through the door, her face was tired, her eyes darted around. She looked like she was hiding something, which just confirmed everything I already knew. "Hey babe," she said, trying to sound normal. "Long day, huh?" I looked at her and took a deep breath. "Yeah, I guess, but I need to talk to you about something serious first." Her smile faltered. She looked at me like I was crazy. I kept my voice steady, deliberately calm. "I've been checking our family location tracker, and I saw you at the stadium with Tommy." Silence. Her face went blank for a second, then she started talking fast, trying to dismiss it. "Oh, that. Yeah, I was there, it was. Just I was meeting some friends, Mark. It's nothing really, just a misunderstanding." She brushed me off, but the way she said it, she knew I wasn't buying it. I felt my blood boil. How could she lie so easily? The truth was she got caught, plain and simple. And the worst part, she was acting like I was stupid for even bringing it up. "Lisa," I said sharply, "don't lie to me. I saw the GPS. You were with Tommy during away games. Tell me what's really going on." Her eyes flicked away, then she took a breath and tried to spin it. "Look, Mark, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe your phone's wrong. I was at the stadium, sure, but I wasn't with Tommy. He's just a coach, a guy helping our kid, nothing more than that." That's when I snapped, because I knew her well enough to see she was lying, but also because I was furious. How dare she act like I was stupid? I pressed her further. You think I'm an idiot? You're sleeping with the coach during away games. How long has this been going on? Her face turned sour and that bitchy tone came out. Oh, so what? You think I'm some kind of slut, that I just cheat on you for fun? You've got no idea what I do when you're not around. Maybe I deserve a little excitement. That was her go-to: blame me, turn it around, try to make me feel guilty. But I was done. I told her I'd had enough of her lies and I needed the truth. She kept denying it, but I wasn't stupid. I saw her guilty face, her trembling hands. From that moment, I knew my entire marriage was a lie. I was angry, betrayed, confused, and hurt. But I also felt something else. That strange, cold clarity that comes when you realize the person you trusted most in the world has been screwing around behind your back. The woman I thought I knew was just a bitch in disguise, lying about everything. And Tommy, our son's coach, he was just a pawn in her game. I didn't know yet how I'd get revenge, but I was already planning it. I couldn't let her get away with this. Not after everything. The day after the confrontation, I could sleep, I couldn't eat. All I could do was think about what I'd uncovered and what it meant for us. Lisa, my wife, the woman I married, the mother of my kids, she'd been lying to my face for who knows how long. And not just lying, she'd been fucking around with Tommy, the coach, our son's coach. The very person who's supposed to help him grow and teach him discipline. That sickens me more than anything. She kept insisting she was innocent, said she'd never cheat on me, that it was just a stupid mistake, like it was some sort of fling, but I knew better. I saw her guilty face, her half-hearted apology. She was lying through her teeth and I was furious. I felt a strange mixture of hurt and anger. Hurt because I loved her and she'd betrayed me in such a brutal way. Anger because she had the nerve to act like it was nothing, like I was overreacting. I decided I needed to think this through. I didn't want to blow up everything in the heat of the moment, but at the same time, I knew I couldn't just let this slide. I wanted my revenge and I wanted her to pay. The more I thought about it, the more I realized I had to be smart about how I handled this. I started researching ways to make her regret what she'd done, ways to expose her that would leave her humiliated and broken, not just angry. Honestly, I'm the kind of guy who's always been straightforward. If I want something, I go for it. But this was different. This was personal. I didn't want some messy blowout where we scream at each other and then go back to normal. No, I wanted a proper plan, something calculated, something that would hit her where it hurts. I wanted her to feel what I'd felt when I saw those GPS points, like my world was crumbling, like I was stupid to trust her at all. I started digging through her phone, her emails, her social media. I needed to find out if she'd told anyone else, if she was planning to keep this affair going. Turns out she'd been pretty careful. No explicit messages, no obvious signs. But I did find some texts exchanged with Tommy where they were making plans to meet up. Nothing explicit, but enough to know this wasn't some one-night stand. It was ongoing. That made my blood boil even more. I also spoke to a guy I knew from work, a friend who's good with computers. I needed to find out if I could get access to her email or some other proof. He helped me install some monitoring software on her phone that would give me her messages and call logs. I didn't want to do anything that would make her suspicious yet. Right now, I just wanted to gather all the info I could so I could decide my next move. While I was doing all this behind her back, Lisa was still acting like everything was fine. She'd flirt with me, pretend to be normal, but I could see the tension underneath. She knew I was onto her, I think. And that made her even more bitchy, more defensive. Every little comment or look was a weapon. She was trying to gaslight me to make me doubt myself, but I had enough evidence now. I knew she was cheating, and I was just waiting for the right moment to confront her again, this time with everything laid out in front of her. Now I was also starting to plan how I'd get revenge for this mess. It wasn't just about catching her cheating, it was about making her regret it, making her see that she couldn't get away with screwing around with our kids' coach and expect to keep everything normal. I wanted her to feel the same pain I was feeling: betrayal, shame, regret. The gears in my mind were turning, and I was already imagining how I'd do it. But for now, I had to play it cool, gather more proof, and prepare myself for what was coming. Over the next few days, I kept my cool on the surface, but inside I was burning up with plans. Every time I looked at Lisa, I saw that bitchy smirk she put on when she thought she was getting away with something. She was so convinced she was clever, hiding her affair behind her fake apologies and false innocence. But I knew better now. I had enough evidence to blow her whole world apart, and I was going to do it. I spent hours on the phone with my friend from work, setting up more sophisticated tracking to get even more details. I wanted everything: calls, texts, locations. I also started visiting Tommy's social media, watching for signs that he knew what was happening or if he was just as naive. Honestly, it infuriated me to see how close they'd been getting. There were pictures of him and Lisa at the game, smiling, touching inappropriately, like they had no shame. That was the moment I realized I had to escalate. One night, I finally sat down with Lisa when she was tired and exhausted from her long day. She was trying to be sweet, acting like everything was normal, but I wasn't buying it anymore. I looked her dead in the eyes and told her I knew everything, that I'd been watching her, that I had proof. Her face twisted into something ugly, defensive, angry, like I'd just accused her of murder. She started denying it, of course. Said I was paranoid, that I was turning into some kind of obsessive psycho. She even had the nerve to call me insecure, which made my blood boil. "I'm not insecure," I said, voice low but steady. "I caught you, Lisa. I know about the affair. I know you've been sleeping with Tommy during our son's away games. Don't lie to me anymore." Her eyes widened for a second, but then she put on that bitchy mask again. She started swearing, calling me crazy, saying I was making up stories. She told me I was overreacting, that she still loved me, and this was all just a misunderstanding. That was her go-to: deny and lie, deny and lie. But I'd had enough. I told her I wanted the truth, and I wasn't leaving until I got it. She finally broke down, her facade cracking. She started crying, screaming at me that I was just insecure, that I was ruining everything, that she was tired of pretending we had a perfect life. Her voice was full of venom, like she hated me for catching her. She admitted she'd been with Tommy more than once, but she insisted it was just sex, just some stupid fling she didn't mean to get caught in. I could see she was lying, but at that point, I didn't care about her excuses. All I saw was the betrayal. The woman I loved was screwing around with a man who's supposed to be our kid's coach. That was a turning point. I felt like I was about to explode, anger, sadness, disgust all at once. But I knew I had to stay calm, no rash moves, no shouting. I told her she had to leave, that I wasn't going to keep living this lie. I wanted her out of the house. She threw a fit, calling me names, saying I was controlling, insecure, jealous. But I just kept my eyes on her, waiting for her to realize how much she'd screwed up. I already knew what I'd do next. I wasn't going to let her walk all over me, not anymore. This was war, and I was ready to fight. After she finally packed her bags and left, I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. Part of me wanted to celebrate. Finally, I was free from her bullshit, from the lies and the cheating. But another part, the deepest part, was shattered. I loved her once, and now I felt like I didn't even know her. It hurt more than I thought possible. The house was eerily quiet, the silence filled with all the memories we'd made, now tainted with her betrayal. I threw myself into planning my next move. I had everything I needed: screenshots of her texts, GPS logs, social media proof. I wanted her to pay, not just for cheating, but for the way she'd humiliated me, lied to my face, and shattered my family. I started thinking about how to make her regret ever crossing that line. The idea of exposing her to everyone, showing her for who she really was, kept me going. I wanted her to see that her lies had consequences. I also thought about Tommy, how he was supposed to be our son's coach, someone who was supposed to be trustworthy. Now I knew that wasn't the case. I made a few calls, tipped off the school about some of Tommy's inappropriate behavior, and shared the evidence I had. I wanted him to lose his reputation, to feel the same shame I'd been feeling for days. Not that I cared about revenge for revenge's sake, but I wanted her to understand what she'd done. That she couldn't just cheat, lie, and walk away without consequences. Meanwhile, Lisa kept trying to contact me, crying and begging and trying to make excuses. She claimed she was sorry, said it was a mistake, that she loved me. But I saw through her bullshit. Her apologies were empty, her words hollow. She had the audacity to say she needed space while she was screwing around with our son's coach. I didn't want to hear it. I wanted her to feel the pain she'd inflicted on me and our family. I decided I'd give her a taste of her own medicine. I recorded some of her calls, her texts, her voice messages, enough to make her realize that I wasn't going to be the fool anymore. I wanted her to understand that I knew everything and that her game was over. I wasn't just going to walk away and pretend it never happened. No, I was going to make her regret every lie, every secret meeting, every betrayal. I wanted her to see how much she'd hurt us, especially our kids, and to understand that she'd crossed a line she couldn't come back from. So I set my plan into motion. I reached out to the people I knew, lawyers, private investigators, even a friend of a friend who owned a security firm. I was determined to make sure she paid for what she did, but at the same time, I was trying to keep my dignity intact. I didn't want a messy public scandal, but I wanted enough leverage to make her realize she destroyed what we had. Because in the end, I knew that no matter how much I wanted revenge, I still loved her. Deep down, I guess I still do. But she had to learn that betrayal comes with a price, and I was ready to make her pay. In the weeks that followed, I stayed mostly quiet, gathering everything I needed: proof, evidence, the right words. I knew I couldn't just burst out and tear her apart, not yet. I had to make her feel the weight of what she'd done, the shame she deserved. I arranged for a private meeting at a neutral place, somewhere I could confront her face to face with everything laid bare. I wanted her to see that I knew the truth and that I was done playing nice. When she finally showed up, her face was pale, her eyes darting around like a trapped animal. She tried to play innocent, to deny everything again, but I cut her off. I pulled out my phone, showed her the GPS logs, the screenshots of her texts with Tommy, the social media proof. I told her I knew about her affair, that I knew she was sleeping with her son's coach, and that I wasn't going to let her get away with it this time. My voice was cold but firm. I wanted her to understand I wasn't messing around anymore. She broke down then, crying, begging me to believe her, saying she was drunk, stressed, that she didn't mean to hurt me. She threw in every excuse in the book, but I wasn't buying it. Her tears didn't matter. What mattered was that she'd betrayed us all: her family, her reputation, our kids' trust. I told her she had to leave, that she was done in my life, and that she'd ruined everything we built together. As she packed her bags and left, I felt a strange sense of relief mixed with sadness. I knew I'd done the right thing, but it hurt so much to see her walk away, knowing she'd broken the vows we made. I realized that sometimes love isn't enough. People can betray you so deeply that forgiveness isn't possible anymore. It took everything in me not to fall apart right then and there, but I knew I had to be strong for myself, for our kids, for what little dignity I had left. Now I'm in a different place. The house feels emptier, quieter, but I'm slowly rebuilding. I've cut ties with Tommy, made sure he's no longer involved in our lives or our sons. I've also talked openly with my kids, trying to explain what happened without giving too many details, so they're not confused or hurt more than they already are. I want them to see that even when life throws betrayal at you, you can survive, you can move forward. Looking back, I've learned that trust is fragile. It can shatter in an instant, and sometimes the damage is irreversible. But I've also learned that revenge isn't just about hurting someone else. It's about reclaiming your dignity, your self-respect. Lisa's betrayal opened my eyes to who she really was and who I am now. I won't be a fool again, but I will be stronger, wiser, and more careful with my heart. Sometimes the only way to truly heal is to let go of what's broken and move on, no matter how painful it is. That's where I am now. And honestly, it's better than living in that lie.